Hi, romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. To celebrate the festivities of the season, I am joined by Sourcebooks Casablanca romance authors CODI HALL, ROAN PARRISH, and Timothy Janovsky to discuss their 2022 holiday romance novels. And this jolly trio and I play Match Game Holiday Romance Edition. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy holidays, and congratulations on your recent releases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to kick things off with an icebreaker. Could you each tell me about a winter holiday tradition that you observe?
One of the traditions that we have is we make homemade eggnog. It's my dad's recipe. So yeah.
Really? I never imagined people making it.
Yeah. So my dad, he's been my stepdad since I was 9, and I had never had eggnog before. He made it. Okay. Absolutely delicious. And so when we moved to Idaho, most Christmases I didn't have my family. So I started making eggnog for my kids. And then now my parents live here. So I'm excited for our first Christmas to have them here where he can do the eggnog and I don't have to do it.
What goes into eggnog? It's like cream and eggs? Like, do you put egg in it?
So yeah, actually, I hope you don't have a thing about raw eggs, because yeah, my dad makes his with raw eggs and milk, sugar, nutmeg, vanilla, and
alcohol, right? Doesn't someone put alcohol in it?
My dad likes rum in his. I do mine alcohol free. So
I feel like I have to say that I learned about that Timothy and I actually share a thing about eggnog. Timothy, is it okay if I share?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. So we did an event. This is just because you said eggnog and I can't not comment, because both of us were like deeply shocked to learn that we were wrong. So we did an event together, and it was, holiday books, and the person that we were doing it with was like kind of poking fun at Timothy because he thought that eggnog was served hot. And she was like, no one thinks that. That's outrageous. And I was like, wait, it's not. I also thought it was served hot. And we were then laughed out of the event. But apparently
it just ended.
Yeah.
See, I don't think of it as a hot beverage, but if you said to me, oh, we, drink eggnog warm or hot, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, to me, it seems like it could go either way. So, wow.
Yeah. And then when I thought about it for a second, I was like, oh, right. I mean, it's got raw egg in it. So obviously it can't be served warm, or you'll have like
scrambled
egg stuff. But I guess, I had never thought about it. Also, I mean, I have an excuse because I'm Jewish. Timothy, I don't know what your excuse is.
To clarify, it was a copy editor that left a notice in my manuscript being like, not sure why their mugs are steaming. They're drinking eggnog. And I was like, huh? And so I brought it up at the event. And the author, Allison Cochran, was like, yeah, nobody thinks it's served that way. And Roan was like, no, I also think that. And everyone was had a good laugh with us. Or at us. Probably at us, actually.
I'm going to have to bring that up because Allison is going to be in another round of holiday panels that I'm recording. So I'll have to bring up the old eggnog. So Timothy, any holiday traditions you would like to share?
I think one of my favorite holiday traditions, I always love that when I go home to see my family, there is a set of ornaments that are just mine for the Christmas tree. And they date back from like preschool Play-Doh creations that like barely are holding together to like very recent things from trips we took and stuff like that. And so I always my parents will not put them up. It's like tradition that they'll sit and watch me find places for them on the tree, and I really love that because it's like a trip down memory lane.
You have just scored a meeting with book club tastemakers Oprah Winfrey, Jenna Bush Hager, and Reese Witherspoon. They are giving you 2 minutes to pitch your holiday romance to them.
Thanks for having me, tastemakers, who I didn't necessarily know had book clubs except for Oprah. I am joining you today wearing a shirt of the book that you could make everyone want to read. It's called The Holiday Trap, and it is a double romance, a double holiday romance. So you've got Truman, who lives in New Orleans, who is about to find out that his boyfriend of a year is leading a double life and has a whole family that he knew nothing about. So he's broken. And you'll meet Greta, who is the only lesbian on the tiny island she lives on with her meddling family in Maine. And she is about to get auctioned off for a date by her mother and sister against her will. So she wants to murder everyone. Both Greta and Truman, understandably, really want to get the hell out of Dodge for the holidays, but Truman's got a dog, Greta's got a bunch of plants. It's last minute. Who could possibly help them out? Enter Ramona, their mutual friend, who tells them that what they really need is to swap houses for a month, and Greta can take care of Truman's dog, Truman can take care of Greta's plants. It's perfect. So obviously they both say, no, that's bananas. I'm not doing that. What are you talking about? But then little by little they soften and they decide to go for it. So Greta goes to New Orleans, Truman goes to this tiny island in Maine, and they live in one another's houses. So now Greta, who's only ever lived in this really small town in Maine, is like, her eyes are newly opened. She's fallen in love with like plants and people and places in New Orleans. And then she meets Karis, who is a super smart math grad student who also owns a miniature horse and gives ghost tours. And she's like, well, you're amazing. How about you show me around? Like, tell me all the things. And is just smitten quite immediately. And she also falls in with Karis's friend group, and they basically have this like blast of a time in New Orleans away from Greta's family. Meanwhile, on Owl Island, Maine, Truman, who has only ever lived in a city with a bunch of other queer people, arrives in this tiny, tiny town and is kind of like, well, I don't know what to do here, but I kind of think that I want to track down this author who I've loved since I was a child, and like, all I know about her is that she maybe once lived here, but she's a recluse and it's a mystery. So in the course of trying to figure that all out, he meets Ash, his love interest, who is a florist, who's moved back to Owl Island to take care of his mom. So now Truman falls in love in Maine, Greta falls in love in New Orleans. They both have a ton of work to do about themselves, their families, etc. But in the end, I hope this isn't a surprise, they end up staying switched. So Greta stays in New Orleans, Truman stays in Maine, and what you have is a kind of the holiday-esque rom-com that's two queer romances where you get 4 HEAs by the end, and also probably will want to drink a glass of lemonade for reasons I will not reveal.
It's going to be really hard to follow Roan and that lovely double romance. In my novel, You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince, we only get one romance, but we get a really strong character arc of a Grinch who learns how to make and help his heart grow 2, 3, 4 sizes larger than it was when we started. So You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince tells the story of the titular Matthew. He is young, rich, and thoroughly spoiled. He is the son of an American power couple, and he has gone through a really terrible breakup and has impulsively bought an island. This is unfortunately the final straw in a string of very bad decisions he has made, and he gets shipped off to stay with his grandparents in the Berkshires for the holidays. What is to most a quaint, kind of respite is his prison for 4 weeks. And when he arrives, he finds out that his grandparents are also boarding a local college student who's under financial hardship and can't go home to be with his family. So they're going to not only be sharing a bathroom, they're not only going to be sharing a room, but they're going to be sharing a bunk bed for the next 4 weeks. So together, they they butt heads, they chop wood, they bake cookies, they learn to find a common language, and then, oh no, the small town's charity gala loses its organizer, and Matthew, as a bid to get home early on good behavior, decides to step up. Now his grandparents are a little on edge about that decision because he's not very reliable or responsible. So they say, well, you can do it, but only if Hector, your bunkmate, also does it. So the two of them have to learn to work together. They have to decorate, they have to get food, and over the course of an entire little holiday season, they grow ever closer, and Matthew has to decide, is his life in New York, the one that he was leading before, the life that he feels he wants to continue on with, or is this new version of himself that actually finds deep and meaningful relationships and cares for others in a more open way, the one that he wants to see through to the finish line? And again, as Roan said, hopefully it doesn't come as a spoiler, but you do get an HEA at the end of this. And while my shirt does not promote my book, it actually is an Easter egg for the epilogue of this book. So if you want to know why Cornelia Street, Sacred New Beginnings, what that means, just like the lemonade, then you'll have to read Your Mean One, Matthew Prince.
I was just talking to Oprah before we began, and we both agreed that there should be more bunk bed situations in romance novels.
I mean, it's one of those things where we get the only one bed trope, which is so delicious and wonderful.
Yeah.
But there is something a little saucy about sleeping beneath someone you find really attractive, and you know he's up there, but you don't really know what's going through his head.
Yeah.
There might be some spicy time in this book.
Hi, I am Cody Gary, but I also go by CODI HALL, and I wrote There's Something About Mary. It is a single dad romance where my heroine has spent the last year focusing on herself. She's, thinking about getting back into dating, but she is definitely not going to date the guy who is running her family Christmas tree farm and basically stole her job. So that is how the book starts. And while she is completely smitten with his son, she's not so sure about the very awkward and, slightly grumpy Clark. There are a lot of fun things in this book, including Mary's side gig. And if you don't know what that is,
is that a penis?
It is. This is my Christmas tree peen that was made for me by one of my favorite crafters. Because
I thought it was gonna sing. I thought that's why you put it out that it was like musical.
It's just a knitted penis with made to
Oh.
look like a Christmas tree. And this is Mary.
That's what Mary does.
Mary makes penises. This is what she wants to do, but she comes from a little town and she's a little scared what her whole town is going to think of her. So meanwhile, one of the best interactions she has with Clark is when their hound dog Butch gets a hold of one of her plush penises and is playing keep away with her out in the yard. While her younger sister is recording, as younger sisters tend to do.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then he stumbles upon them doing this keep away, and Mary actually steps on something sharp in the yard, and Clark carries her into the house. And this is where they have their first kind of supercharged moments. If you want to see how her family reacts to her side gig, you're gonna have to read the book. But it is a guaranteed happily ever after. I could not compete with those two, so I just had to bring out the peen.
I love it! I love it! I love it!
Wow, 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 wow.
Which tropes and which heat level? Ho ho hot, spicy gumdrop, warm gingerbread, or snuggled by the fire?
So we have snowy small town romance. We have fish out of water. We have only one bunk bed. We have opposites attract, forced proximity. And I would say the heat level, judging by the bunk bed and also another scene that takes place in a storage unit, it probably exists somewhere between the spicy gumdrop and the roaring fire, I think. Somewhere closer to the gumdrop, but we're not quite going into cinnamon hot tamales land.
So would it be more between spicy gumdrop and warm gingerbread?
Oh, yes, warm gingerbread. That's what I meant. So between the second and the third one.
Gotcha. Oh, did you also mention Grumpy Sunshine? Would you say that's appropriate also, trope for Matthew Prince and Hector?
I would say that they're
or they both
grumpy and grumpier.
Oh, okay.
I mean they don't get off on a great foot to begin with.
Okay.
And so they're sparring partners for a little while.
So Grumpy Sunshine, next door neighbor. So they have a online mystery relationship where they don't know that they're talking to each other. There's a little tinge of enemies to lovers in the beginning because of the fact that Mary wants to be the one helping her dad run the farm, and instead he hired Clark, and it was a note of contention. And then I would say closer to spicy gumdrop than the warm gingerbread. There is only, let's see, there's 1.5 scenes. One in his work shed because he's a woodworker. And there is a line about, "Oh, Captain, my Captain, don't ask me why." We had a little nerdgasm going on.
Tropes. We've got, I sometimes just say things and decide that they're tropes. So we've got house swap. We've got a little literary mystery working there. We've got, I always have characters with tons of hobbies. So for me, it's a trope to be like obsessed, for the characters to be obsessed with their hobbies. So we've got like plant stuff. We've got bullet journaling. We've got flowers, and we've got math for things that characters are obsessed with. Starting a business, working on small business, guerrilla gardening.
Did you say
intergenerational queer found family?
Well, I would say that you're right about the hobby. That is your trope. Like, you own that trope, is that there's always a solid hobby. It's like you do learn something. Like, I learn something when I read your books because there is a hobby and it's detailed and you feel the passion. So I would say that is your trope. And if I ever mention it in any future episodes, I will always say that is your trope. That's the ROAN trope.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I'm feeling generous.
And I guess I would say maybe mine is like between spicy gumdrop and ho ho hot, but closer to spicy gumdrop, mostly because since it's 2 romances, there's double the number of sex scenes, but I wouldn't say that they're like all super extensive. But yeah,
Got it.
I would say.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, Roan, I'm going to give you page 5.
Okay. Okay, so it starts in the middle of a thing. So what we're getting here is Greta's sort of memory of how she first came out to her family some years before. Yeah, Greta said, starting to shake with nerves. Her whole family, strike that, the whole town, would know in a matter of hours. She shoved her woeful knitting at Sadie and got to her feet. That's her sister. As she walked past her father, he caught her shoulder and squeezed. When she looked up at him, he smiled and nodded just once. Then he let her walk away to be alone with her thoughts. Now she wished desperately for a similar exit strategy, but she was on stage in the middle of the town square with nearly the entire population of Owl Island staring at her. Just as she was telling herself it couldn't get any worse, she caught sight of Tabitha Ryder. Greta winced. Tabitha's smooth blonde bangs and elfin face were framed by the faux fur-lined hood she'd pulled up against the Maine winter. She held mittened hands with Jordan Laverty, who was handsome and too infuriatingly kind to loathe the way Greta would have liked. Hey, at least Greta had a perfectly self-deprecating story to tell when the topic of first loves came up. Not everyone had confessed their love to their best friend and then puked on her shoes. Although, Greta found out, more had than you might think. Tabitha's blue eyes grew wide when she saw Greta on stage, and Greta braced herself for the utter carnage of her heart that would follow if Tabitha smirked at her pathetic misfortune. But Tabitha didn't smirk. It was so much worse. Tabitha cursed the kind soul that had made Greta love her in the first place, gave Greta a look of such pity that Greta felt her insides fold like a paper bag.
Cody, I'm going to give you page 11.
The little boy's brown or small round face had a sprinkling of freckles over an upturned nose, and she had the fanciful thought that he looked like an adorable Christmas elf with the right clothing. Nice. Where's Minnie? On the porch still. You can grab her if you want. I'll do that. I got her, Clark said, coming up alongside them. Morning. She took a drink of her latte. Still finishing my wake-up juice. Clark gave her a small smile, his trademark when he was around her. Does he even have teeth, she wondered. I could have used an extra cup today. Wow, more than a 3-word sentence. Clark hadn't been much for open conversation with her and usually kept his responses short and close. Late night, she asked, although he didn't look tired. Lack of sleep left her with bags under her eyes, but Clark's bronze skin was smooth, his brown eyes bright. She wished she tanned like that, but her skin only knew 2 shades, alabaster and lobster. Thank God Idaho stayed cool nearly 10 months out of the year. We went trick-or-treating until almost 9 and then watched It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. He tilted his head to the side with a wince, fell asleep on the couch at a weird angle. You're quite the night owl, aren't you? Clark's lips tipped up in that half smile, almost as though he was afraid to look too happy. Gotta go to bed early to get up early. I once crammed for a test until 4 in the morning and was up by 7 a.m. to kick its butt. She caught herself glancing down at Jace. She already owed a couple bucks to the pint-sized mercenaries swear jar.
Well, Timothy, that leaves you, and I'm going to give you page 8.
This is chapter 2. There's an old school camcorder in my face the moment the door swings open. Grandma hangs behind it like she's Steven Spielberg. Matthew, she shouts, wave to the camera. Old habits die hard with her. Each Thanksgiving, she insists on filming every single relative's entrance into the house. She says one day she'll supercut them all together so everyone can see how they've changed over the years. That is, if she ever figures out how to work iMovie. Did you go for a swim before you got here? She tugs on my damp sleeve. I suppress a groan. No dry cleaner in this town is going to know how to properly care for an off-the-runway overcoat. Her face lights up brighter than her ornate wreaths as she sets down the camera on a nearby end table. I had hoped we'd outgrown the cheek-pinching phase, but that's obviously not the case. She grabs fingerfuls of face flesh. I ouch, 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 yet she doesn't take the hint. Let me get a good look at you. Her long, thin gray hair is spooled into a bun atop her head. She's got the same high cheekbones Mom does, but rounder cheeks, a dimpled chin, and a paler, whiter complexion from less sun and no bronzer. You're so tall. What's it been? 2 years? It has, in fact, been 2 years. I skipped last Thanksgiving to jet around Morocco with the heir to a breakfast sandwich fortune and his musician husband in an ill-advised polyamorous throuple. If you ever want to feel like a third wheel, date a happily married couple and try planning a couple's massage. They don't even put out a third bed. They just make you rotate every 15 minutes.
So in writing a holiday romance, obviously it has to be primarily a romance with holiday elements. Was there, for either of you, did you have your own holiday to romance ratio? You know, where, okay, every time I mention them eating candy canes, they have to do 2 kisses. Like, how did you balance? Was there some kind of guideline that you would follow to make sure it wasn't too holiday heavy and not as much romance and vice versa?
Yeah, I didn't have quite so specific a formula as that, but I definitely, because I had 2 storylines, I knew that if I had like big holiday plot lines in both, it would get kind of bogged down because they would be happening at the same time and it would be like a bit too much. So I have, I just chose like where I thought it was most important to have the holiday things. And because Greta has moved to this new city and made this whole group of like amazing queer friends, whereas Truman in Maine really is just like, you know, met his love interest, I decided to have most of the holiday stuff take place in New Orleans so that it could be like big and festive and lots of stuff. So Greta is Jewish and it's like a all holidays holiday party. And we get like little snippets of her memories of Hanukkah's past and stuff. And yeah, I think that I wanted it to be like sexy holidays, not family holidays, for the purposes of this book, since my characters have trouble with their families. So yeah, I went hard on the holiday parts in one storyline, and then sort of like softer in the other one.
Got it. Cody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a formula or anything. I had certain events and I guess in the town and happening on the Christmas tree farm that I knew would be, this one would happen here and this one would happen here. Like she's planning the big festival of trees, which is the big charity event in town and everything. And so I knew these things were happening, and I just would sprinkle a little bit of Christmas in every chapter by adding these things. So like in the first chapter, they are decorating the farm for Christmas. So they're up there like putting out blow-ups and putting up lights and detangling lights and everything, and just a little bit of sprinkle through every chapter. So, people who like the Christmas heavy get the Christmas heavy, and then they also get the Christmas peen. So
Christmas peen, yeah. So you were sprinkling the holidays.
Yes.
Timothy.
I would say that if that's a sprinkling, Matthew Prince is a bit of a heavy pour. I would say I really leaned into the holiday in this book, mostly because I just have like a deep, deep love of like old ABC Family Christmas movies and Lifetime movies. I just really enjoy those. And I think, as the title suggests, we meet Matthew as a character who kind of despises Christmas, not Christmas as the holiday, but for what it symbolizes and how it doesn't really hold too much weight to his family anymore. It kind of symbolizes what he's lost. And so Wind River, the town that he goes to, kind of shows him that these traditions, when you have meaningful relationships, can actually create beautiful memories. So we get cookie baking, we get tree decorating, we get display, like a whole light display walkthrough. So there is, I mean, this is a in the book they make chai, tea, eggnog, sugar cookies. So it is a sugar rush.
What is that a thing that you made up, or does that exist, that recipe?
It exists. I think I actually told you this last time I was on the show, but Taylor Swift used to follow me on Tumblr.
Yes.
And Taylor Swift used to post recipes to Tumblr, like that she was making, and that is one of the cookies that she had made, back in 2014, whenever that was, and I've made them every couple of years actually. They're really good. And I just wanted to use them because I like them.
Oh, fabulous.
Did you include that recipe in your book?
I did not, but it is very easily Googleable, I found out after the fact, because there were people that were like, oh, you made this up. I was like, no, actually, Taylor Swift made it up, and you can find it on like popsugar.com.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask the same thing if the recipe was in the book. Oh,
no, I didn't want to take credit for it. I hijacked.
So I'm assuming that none of you wrote your novels during the holidays, correct? You wrote them, I would imagine, at non-holiday times. Maybe, I don't know, when did you, like summer? like 2 summers ago or something? Okay. So how did you get into the appropriate holiday headspace to write? Did you surround yourself with music? Did you watch a whole bunch of movies?
So I have been writing Christmas novels for the last 3 years. Almost all of the books that I've been writing have been Christmas novels. So it's been like a 365-day loop of Christmas music. I love the holidays and I love Christmas, so I'm good in that space. But I write, I've written all of the books except for one from April and finished out my edits and everything by August.
For me, it's less about like the music or the, you know, watching a bunch of movies, and more about like kind of thinking about why I love the holidays. And for me, it's like there's an interpersonal magic that happens where people are just kinder, I find, at least in a city, where like everyone is kind of walking around a little more generously, a little friendlier, a little kinder and more generous. And to me, that's like the real magic of the holidays. I mean, I love all the trappings too. It's just a different category. So yeah, I think I was trying to put myself in the like, okay, what would Christmas look like in Owl Island, Maine? Okay, what would Hanukkah look like in New Orleans? And you know, I lived in New Orleans for a year, and one of the weirdest things for me was seeing all of the holiday stuff in a tropical location. You know, it was like I actually was hanging out in a cemetery on Christmas, and it was like 75 degrees, sunny. You know, people were coming out of the churches, like little girls in velvet dresses, and I was like, you must be roasting in there. So it was very interesting because I didn't realize how much I associate the holidays with like winter and other winter things. And I love winter. I also love snow. I love like coziness and all of that. So it was a fun challenge. And I think writing it in the summer. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so writing it in the summer actually was fine because it is hot during Christmas and Hanukkah in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Timothy?
Well, when I drafted the original version of this book, before my agent sold it, I was writing it right at the very top of the pandemic, and so I wrote it in the summer, and I wanted to escape to the holiday time because that's my favorite time of year. And like Roan said, there's just like a kindness and a magic to it that I wanted to live in every day while I was kind of isolated in my home. And then when I went back to revisit this book after my debut Never Been Kissed came out, I got to edit this book, and I got to do that from like September through January. So it was actually the holiday season, quote unquote. And so I got to do the festive stuff while I was writing it. So there's a chapter in the book where Matthew and Hector go on a double date to a Christmas light walkthrough. And where I was at the time, they had lights at the zoo. So my partner and I went and walked through lights at the zoo, and I took photos of the different displays, and I called it research. It was my working for the day.
Awesome. So, I love it. If you match with anybody, you get a point. And anyone who matches with me gets double points. Please name a holiday chore that you would assign to your enemy before they become your lover.
Oh, son of a biscuit eating leprechaun. You can't read mine.
Oh, you have... Mine is untangle the Christmas lights. Oh, Roan, did you put untangle the fairy lights? Sweeping up the pine needles. Actually, that's a good one too. And what did you write?
I actually put up the Christmas tree light, or put up the Christmas light.
I don't know. Should we consider that a match? I don't know. Untangle.
No, you untangle.
Okay, me and Roan get a point. Actually, Roan, you get 2 points because you matched with me. So I'm just going to find a random piece of mail to write the score on. Hopefully this is not something I need. The most romantic type of Christmas cookie to feed your lover. Maybe I should pick the Taylor Swift cookie because maybe that's what Timothy's going to write. I don't know. I put chocolate mint. I don't know what I meant chocolate mint cookie. Gingerbread. Oh, good answer. Did you put the shy tea eggnog thing? I was going to do that just so we'd match. And I was like, no, he's not going to write it because I said it.
No, I would have gotten 2 points.
Oh, no, I did. Sorry, I screwed you out of that. And what did you write, Cody? I can't see your little sticky note.
Frosted sugar cookies.
I almost put sugar cookies. I don't know why.
Because you can take the frosting and you can put it places and lick it off. I mean, I thought we were being sexy.
The eggnog part is icing. Does that count? No, okay. I'm reaching. Okay,
get out of here, Timothy.
We're reaching.
Name an unlikely romantic partner for Ebenezer Scrooge? I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Okay. I put Bob Cratchit, who was also in Dickens.
No, I almost put Buddy the Elf, but I put
Buddy the Elf. Oh, and then Timothy, you put Buddy the Elf, and you put Santa Claus. You see, Santa Claus would have been a good one. All right,
And
so you
I
guys
put
each
Mrs.
get a
Claus.
point.
No.
No.
My sticky note says Mrs. Claus. I deleted Elf, Buddy the Elf.
Oh, Cody.
I
okay.
know. I keep second guessing myself.
So nobody got anything on that
Nobody
one.
gets any
Okay.
point.
We are not insane. A holiday themed sexual position. I have a feeling that there's somebody in this group who might match with me. I have the candy cane.
What is that? What's that position?
I will explain in a minute.
Oh,
Okay.
striptease.
So you have a striptease. So
that
I
really-
need to know more about how that's a holiday one. Reindeer
Because-
style. Is that like doggy style? Okay, I dig it. The tangled Christmas lights. Okay. I need clarity on all these. The striptease. Are we talking about what is the person wearing before they strip?
Okay, it's because you're unwrapping yourself like a gift.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
It's not really a position, it's more like an act.
It's an act. Okay, I will take acts. Timothy, the untangle, is this some kind of
No,
body?
it's the tangled. They are tangled.
So they are
Oh, just like limbs,
Limbs,
spooning,
okay.
holding. Like, yeah, it's
Okay.
about the limbs.
so it's a very athletic position, I'd imagine.
Mm.
The candy cane, I was thinking of, you know, when you take the candy cane hooks, like you take the curved part and you hook them. So I was thinking of some kind of 69 type of thing. A holiday song that you would make love to. Oh, wait a second. Oh, that's a good one. Forget that one. I put Santa Baby.
Mm.
What boys choir's Messiah? I don't
You
think
said the weirder the better.
well, that is that for real? I don't know if I've ever heard that.
Yeah, the Messiah is like a choral piece. And
Oh, a choral
imagine
piece.
it's,
Oh, okay. I thought you said a
yeah,
choral.
imagine it's sung by a boys' choir while you're,
Oh, so
Mm.
actually having so are you having sex while the boys' choir is there singing live? Is that the idea?
I wasn't.
I don't know why that came to mind. Okay,
wasn't
Timothy, what do you
thinking-
have over there?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I spelled claus, like the Santa Claus films.
That's
but
what I
okay.
did too.
Oh. I thought you meant CLAWS, the Santa Claus. And Claus are
That would have been
coming.
interesting too.
Cody, what do you have? I'm guessing not Santa Baby. Yeah,
Under My
Mm.
Tree by NSYNC.
Mm.
that is us under my tree.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Christmas is here. No, wait, no, that's not it. Wait. Yeah, no, that is it. What I'm
Don't
not.
confuse us. Which celebrity would you like to kiss underneath the mistletoe? I put Henry Cavill, Nick Jonas, Aubrey Plaza, and
Jensen Ackles.
all excellent choices, but alas, nobody matched. And Roan, you are the winner.
Thank you.
Well, I thank all of you again, Cody, Timothy, Roan, for joining me here on Reader Seeks Romance for this very special holiday romance edition. I wish all of you happy holidays and a healthy and prosperous new year.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you. You too.
Very much.
Thank you.